You're listening to the X Zone Radio Show live and around the world on the Talkstar Radio Network. Visit us online at www.xzone-radio.com.
The X Zone radio and TV show is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X Zone radio and TV show or in any manner endorsed by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, Talkstar Radio Network, its affiliated stations, or employees.
Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
It's amazing how you can speak right to my heart. Without saying a word, you can light up the dark. Try as I may, I can never explain what I hear when you don't say a thing. The smile on your face lets me know truth in your eyes, saying you'll never leave me. The touch of your hand says you'll catch me wherever I fall. You'll say it best, then you say nothing at all.
Welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, coming to you live and around the world on the Talkstar Radio Network. Our toll-free number is 1-877-528-8255. That's toll-free throughout the U.S., Canada, Alaska, and Hawaii. My email address, xzone@talkstarradio.com. On MSN Messenger, talkstarradio@hotmail.com. And our websites, www.xzoneradio.com. and xzonetv.com. My guest this hour is still Caryl Dennis. And Caryl is a nationally known psychic consultant with over 18 years professional experience. She is also a colorologist, researcher, and lecturer, and has authored several nonfiction works on a variety of subjects. Caryl is clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient, and as a form of remote viewing, she specializes in life color readings, in which she employs the principles of color to obtain information similar to astrology reading. She offers life color compatibility readings to aid her clients in understanding their relationships. Now, she offers readings in person in Safety Harbor, Florida, over the telephone and via live video on the Internet. And her website is www.rainbowsunlimited.com. And Caryl, great having you with us. Thanks for being with us this extended segment.
Well, thank you for the opportunity.
Now, Caryl,
can I continue with the symptoms?
Yes, please do. Yeah.
That'd be good.
You're a psychic. You knew what I was going to ask you.
Okay, so there's other twins in the family would also be a sign of the Vanishing Twin Phenomenon. And a fascination with mirrors, unexplained feelings of incompleteness, loneliness, responsibility, and guilt, an imaginary friend, feeling like something is missing, multiple personality disorder is probably part of this, hearing voices is for people, or some people are, like myself, is a part of this, a fascination with shimmery fabric, because it's like seeing your twin through the placenta, kind of a shimmery thing, and so there can be a fascination with shimmering things. Sexual identity issues, they're searching for the other half. I've interviewed so many people who, they're searching for the other part of themselves, and they think they can fill that hole with a mate. And so they get involved in a relationship, and no, that doesn't fill the hole. They don't understand what they're looking for. So often they don't know that they were twins, and so they just got this thing going on in their life. And so they okay, mate, that's not it. Well, maybe I'm gay. And so then they explore that, and no, that's not it. And there's just this confusion. They don't understand, so they're trying to fill that hole. They're trying to find that other half of themselves. I mentioned hearing voices, a fear of sudden loss, difficulty sleeping alone. They must touch their mate when or whoever they're in bed with. They have to touch them because they're afraid they're going to lose. They're going to go away in their sleep, and so they want to touch the person. Very often they just have this knowing that they were a twin. I've always felt like I was a twin. I've always been fascinated by twins. And a fascination or obsession with twins just in general.
All right, hold on to that thought. We've got to take our first 2-minute commercial break.
Okay.
Caryl Dennis is our special guest, X-Zone Nation. Very interesting lady. She's done a heck of a lot of research and a job well done. www.rainbowsunlimited.com. Caryl Dennis and I will return on the other side of this 2-minute commercial break as the X-Zone continues live and around the world on the Talkstar Radio Network. Don't go away.
I can never explain.
Dennis is my special guest this hour, www.rainbowsunlimited.com, and we're talking about the Vanishing Twin Phenomenon. Caryl, are there more signs and symptoms and similarities? Caryl, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, there you are, okay.
That's pretty much the basic list, and they're not all twins have all those symptoms, but I'd be willing to bet there are people that are listening to this right now are going, wow, that sounds like me.
Yeah. Let's go to our telephones. We have Kathy in Ottawa listening to us on AM 580 CFRA who'd like to join the conversation. Hi, Kathy.
Good evening, Rob. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, sweetie. What's new with you?
Pardon?
How are you doing?
Just fine, thank you.
Excellent. Carol's here.
I wanted to tell your guest, I was a twin at birth.
Mm-hmm.
I weigh 2 pounds, 2 ounces, and I'm blind, and I have cerebral palsy as well.
Caryl, did you hear that?
I did. Was there ever any conversation that you might have been a twin?
She was a twin.
Oh, she was a twin. Oh,
yes.
I didn't hear that.
And my twin died, and I weigh 2 pounds, 2 ounces.
If you might want to go to my website, and there's a Vanishing Twin page. There's lots of information about twins and the surviving twin, what they experience physically and emotionally and so forth. And then at the bottom of the page there's a link to my e-group, and to be able to have somebody that you can talk to about this stuff that understands. There's 450 of us, and
I'm not able to hear her, Rob.
Yeah, we know we're having a what she's suggesting, Kathy, is that you go to her website, and I know that you're visually impaired.
I don't have a website.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
it's just that I'm very interested because I have a brother with cerebral palsy as well.
Was he a twin, Kathy?
No, I was.
Well, he could have very well been too, because very often twins run in families. It doesn't always. But they used to say that the twins run in the mother's side of the family.
Right.
But we found that that's not really true. Fraternal twins are genetic. They do tend to run in families. Identical twins are random. But if there's one set of twins in the family, it means the mother is a multiple ovulator, and so she very likely could have had other twins as well, and they just didn't, there was just never any notice of it.
All right, Kath, thanks very much for giving us a call tonight. If you'd like to give us a call and speak to my special guest this hour, Caryl Dennis, our toll-free number is 1-877-528-8255. Now, that is toll-free throughout the U.S., Canada, Alaska, and Hawaii at 1-877-528-8255. Or you can send an MSN message to me at talkstarradio@hotmail.com like Night Angel just did. And this question is from Night Angel on MSN, Caryl. If a person who was born a twin but one died, can the living person feel like one person is living is for two instead of one?
Absolutely. That is extremely common. And it's like they're living vicariously. The twin is living vicariously through the one that survived, and that story is very, very consistent.
It must be very difficult for someone who is living like that if they don't know what is going on.
It is. It's so traumatic. The stories on the E-group are fascinating. How it affects them. How all the different things that their whole life is just that. Relationships are the most difficult because, like I was saying before, you're trying to fill that hole, and you think a mate does that. That you think that's why I don't feel complete. I need a mate, and then when they realize that that's not the answer, then they're so confused, and then they add just another layer of confusion on it.
But how does a person know if they were a twin or not?
The easiest way, if the mother is alive, to ask her if she bled during the pregnancy. And she said, "Oh, may I just spotted a little bit in the beginning." Well, that's it. That's when it happened. So that's the easiest way to do it is ask the mother if she's alive. Or she may say, "Well, I don't remember. I mean, the bleeding, but I had a difficult pregnancy." A lot of times in the old days, that's what they would just refer to it as a difficult pregnancy. And so that's a really good way. And then again, the cerebral palsy, excess fingers or toes, or the midline issues. There are people that actually have two different types of blood in their body. Chimeras, they're called. And they have actually two different kinds of blood. And then some twins, mirror identical twins, their organs are on the opposite side of their body. I have a cousin like that. They never knew that they knew she was supposed to have been a twin, but she had a pain in her stomach and they didn't know in her belly, and they didn't know what it was. So they went in to do exploratory surgery and realized that all of her organs were on the opposite side of her body.
Holy cow! So
it's very important that surviving twins are aware that they were a twin. And the problem with this is that the doctors just blow them off. They'll say to them, "Well, just be thankful you don't have twins. Can't forget it. Just don't worry about it. Just go on with your life, And they just blow these women off. The women are, the mothers are, they're grieving their child has been lost, but the doctors just blow them off. So just don't worry about it, And so they don't ever think that it's important to tell the surviving twin. And so, and very often, like I said, they don't even know that they're pregnant with twins. So. It's a really difficult situation, but what I found is that once people get it, once something happens along their life, like they find a teratoma tumor, or they psychologically their lives are so mixed up, they end up at a psychologist, and maybe she heard about that and then presents the idea, and that's the ansser. It's just such a fascinating subject, and it's just not discussed enough in the medical profession. They just blow these women off, and it's very, very sad that the surviving twin doesn't know. When they do know, it's such a different experience for them. Their lives are so different.
Why doesn't the medical community pay more attention to this phenomenon?
I think because it happens so frequently. And before, like I said before, they didn't even know it was happening.
Right.
Before they could start doing these transvaginal ultrasounds very early in the pregnancy, and they started. Plus, the other thing about this is they started doing all the in vitro, and creating so many more twins. So that is also creating more issues. You know, there's a lot of, if you notice all the twins being born to all the movie stars?
Yep.
There's a lot of in vitro going on out in California. And so all these issues are going to be so much more magnified for all those twins that because usually they do several eggs, you know, and maybe two survive or maybe one, but this whole vanishing twin thing gets wrapped up into that. It's just fascinating to me, all the variations on this, psychologically as well as physically. So it's very important that the surviving twin knows that they were a twin, and so that it can help them to deal with it early in life.
Tell me, where does genetics come into play?
Well, twins do tend to run in families, and so very often if there's twins earlier, you know, in earlier generations than there are later as well. And in those families where there's twins, there's probably many more multiples than were ever recognized.
Mm-hmm. Does the twin who has passed always maintain or connect as a spirit, and are most twins psychic?
Most twins are psychic. They just with one another. With both of them are born and in the family, you know, and they do come to term and everything. Those twins are usually very psychic, especially if they're identical. But I think that there's just this bond there. You know, there's some sort of an agreement, I think, before they come in and they agree to stay together. And I just think I think that bond continues.
Continues to the other side?
Yeah. I've just seen it so much. I've been researching this since the early 90s, and I've interviewed hundreds and hundreds of people. Because as I traveled, and when I lived in the motorhome and traveled, I had a sign that said, Vanishing Twin Phenomenon, could you be a twin? And then I had these symptoms on this sign, and people would come up and talk to me. They'd look at the sign, and their eyes would get big as saucers, and they go, "Oh my God, that's me! What are you talking about? What is that?" And so just that recognition of this, the possibility would just open up a whole new world for them, and and again, like I said, it's so prevalent that we just never realized how much it really is happening.
Now, what's the connection between the Vanishing Twin Phenomenon and these Millennium Children that you first wrote about in 1995?
Well, when I was doing the research project with the hypnotherapist, we called these people prodigies, and they called it extraterrestrial telepathic intelligence phenomenon. And as I traveled around the country, first of all, we found in that initial thing, we found that so many of those people were twins, were supposed to have been twins, or had a lot of twins in their family. Mm-hmm. And so as I lectured on that work, the research project that we did, and on the twins, people just kept telling me these stories. And they would tell me about these kids. And I filled a whole book full of these kids. And so many of them were twins. It was just part of the whole experience. And we called them, in our book, we called them the Millennium Children. And it was before the book The Indigo Children came out, and that whole concept was even made public. I was talking about it all over the country for years, and people were going, "God, you know more about this than anybody, and it's so prevalent. You need to tell us about it. You need to write a book about it."
Well, let's talk more about this when I come back from the news at the bottom of the hour. Caryl Dennis is our special guest. Her website is www.rainbowsunlimited.com. My name's Rob McConnell, and this is the X Zone, live and around the world on the Talk Star Radio Network. We'll be back after the news. Don't go away.
Drum roll, please. You're about to make one of the smartest decisions of your life. You're going to get your degree online. It's a fact. People with a degree, on average, make $1 million more in a lifetime. But where are you going to go to school? There are hundreds of online colleges and universities, and thousands of programs to choose from. No worries. Cue the music. Introducing Education Connection. This amazing free service will help you find the right school for you for free. Every day, Education Connection matches students to schools that are perfect for them. Not sure about what to study? Log on to 9educationmatching.com and get a free personality test that can help match you to the right career. This is a $75 value, but it's yours free. So take a minute and go online and learn more about your favorite subject. You. Get a free personality test, a $75 value at 9educationmatching.com. The number 9educationmatching.com. That's 9educationmatching.com.
Amethyst works with your guides, angels, and spirit animals to assist you in catalyzing your inner healer, clearing your psychic and spiritual debris, integrating your lost soul parts, illuminating your journey, energizing your spirit, opening your psychic senses, exercising your multidimensional gifts, activating your purpose, empowering your soul, validating your experiences, navigating life's transitions, guiding your process, awakening your spiritual essence, balancing your energies, tapping into the creative flow, realizing your dreams, visioning your destiny, dreaming your world into being who you really are. Amethyst is an X-Zone iPod partner and can be visited online at www.answersfromyourangels.com or from your X-Zone iPod by touching the Angels widget on the main screen. Amethyst, www.answersfromyourangels.com.
You're listening to the X-Zone Radio Show live and around the world on the Talkstar Radio Network. Visit us online at
www.xzone-radio.com.
Hi, this is Ken Elliott. When I'm floating around the universe, I always try to tune in to Rob McConnell.
Hi, ho there, Twinkie Frog on Sesame Street. When I want to find out what's going on with UFOs or ghosts, I listen to the X-Zone with Rob McConnell.
This is Les Corrigan from Target Internet Development. You're listening to Rob McConnell on the X-Zone Radio Show.
This is John Hogue, Prophecy Scholar, and you're listening to Rob McConnell in the X-Zone.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
When you were young and your heart was an open book, you used to say, live and let live. This ever-changing world in which we live in makes you give in and cry. Say, live and let die. Live and let die. Live and let die. Live and let die.
Welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. The number of twins born in the United States has risen every year in the past decade, according to the CDC National Vital Statistics Report. There were 50,375 pairs of twins born in 1996. By 2002, that number had reached 125,134. Women who became pregnant commonly have a 1 in 80 chance of giving birth to a pair of babies instead of just one. Just being a twin gives each baby an automatic bit of prominence. Some of these baby pairs have taken that fame several steps further, and we're going to take a look at some of the twins who have made it, so to speak. We have Ann Landers and Abigail Van Buren. Mary Kate Olsen and Ashley Olsen. Let me see, who else did we find out over here? Come on. Let me see. Jacob and Esau. Kevin and Corey Little. The Weasley twins. Oliver and James Phelps. The Minnesota twins. The brothers Gibb, the Bee Gees. The Bobbsey twins, and Remus and Romulus, going back into legends and myths. There you go, twins. Now, we're talking about living twins in this top 10, but The twins that we're talking about with our very special guest, Caryl Dennis, are vanishing twins. And Caryl, thanks very much for joining us again. And what if our listeners would like to know if there is a connection between the vanishing twin phenomenon and the vanishing twin phenomenon in alien abductions?
Yes. I don't believe that all of the twins that are missing are abducted, but I do think that that's part of it. Because when we did that original research, there was definitely people who had abduction kinds of experiences in their life. So I think that, it's very logical that, we use twins in experimental situations. And if there are extraterrestrials who are visiting this planet, it would only be logical they would use twins as well. They'd have one to work on and one to use as a control.
Makes sense.
So I have, the stories are many, many, many of people who have had this experience and who've seen UFOs.
All right, before we went to the break, we were talking about Millennium Children, or what they are called today are Indigo Children. And what was the factor that tuned you into these new children, or these millennial children?
Well, it was the research that we did, and when originally in '90, when we discovered the Vanishing Twin Phenomenon, we discovered it among these people who were Millennium Children, but my husband and I finally called in our book Millennium Children. And there was a direct correlation. The Millennium Children were very often twins. They weren't always twins, but it was there was almost always some sort of a twin connection. There were twins in their family. They were supposed to have been twins, and only one was born. There was just a very consistent thing in there. And these kids are called all different things today. They're called the children of the blue rays, star children, crystal children, rainbow children. There are a lot of labels that are being put on these kids, and which I don't find terribly comforting, because I've heard mothers say, "Well, my daughter is a rainbow child. She's not just an indigo child," and there's all this comparison thing. My kid's smarter than your kid going on. But these kids are just so amazing. They want to go through some of the
yes,
characteristics
please.
of these kids?
Let's do that.
Okay. They walk and talk very early, or very late. Joseph Chilton Pierce wrote Magical Child and many other books, and he noticed that many of the kids today have expanded frontal lobes. Their forehead is bigger. And if you'll notice, kids today, they very often their forehead is much more prominent than other kids. Very often they want to be vegetarians because they can, quote, hear the meat scream. I heard a little kid told me that one time. They're very hypersensitive. All their senses are hyper, to sound, to fabric, to labels in their shirt, to chemicals, detergents. Very often they have allergies. Very often they react very badly to vaccines because they're just so hypersensitive. Some of them have super strength. One little boy, 2 years old, he lifted a car off from himself when he was run over by a car. Very often they see beyond the normal visible light spectrum, which means they see auras, ghosts, and fairies, and they have imaginary friends. They're very often psychic, predicting the future. Very often it's the future of like the death of a grandparent, and which really freaks them out, because they take responsibility for it. They feel like they were responsible for it because they saw it ahead of time. But very often they're psychic. They're able to read minds. One little boy, he knew people's names. He could walk through a store and just yell out everybody's name as he walked by strangers walking through a grocery store. Another little boy could diagnose a car by just walking around the car. And he could point to he didn't even know what any of this was. He could just point to whatever part that was broken, and his father would fix it. And he was always right. Very often they have the ability to heal. They just have a natural ability they know they can put their hands out on their family and fix them. They have pre-birth memories, knowing where they were before they were born. Very often have out-of-body experiences, or they remember past lives. I've had 16 different parents tell me directly that their child said the same exact line. I remember when I was big and you were little. 16 different people with the same exact line. I find that amazing.
I remember you when I was big and you were little.
Yep. I remember when I was big and you were little. Lots of past life stories, many of those. They have a super intelligence. A lot of times they'll say they go to school at night. They can invent things and fix things. One little kid said his brains work differently where I come from. They get very bored with school because they're so smart, and very often knowing more than the teacher and more than their parents. Extreme anger and frustration. One little kid said, "This body's too little and I don't want to be here." Another little boy, when he got angry, he would like blow up things like light bulbs and microwave ovens and anything electronic, computers, and a lot of them just can't even go even near computers because they just go all crazy. Telekinetic, being able to move their toys around, running toys without batteries. A very high vibrational frequency, again, interfering with radios and TVs and microwaves. Very often they have ADD or hyperactivity or autistic because their frequency is so high. They're just different. Exercise is really important for these kids, and very often they talk about extraterrestrials. My favorite story. You want to hear my favorite story?
Sure.
This little kid was 3 years old. His parents were college professors. This story was told to me by the therapist. The mother and father didn't know what to do with this kid. He was predicting the future. He was telling them who was on the phone when it rang. He was just doing all this stuff, and they didn't believe in any of this stuff. They were very left-brain intellectuals, and this kid was freaking them out. And so, you there?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Okay. And so the little kid, they realized they needed to do something. So they found a therapist. And so when the therapist was working with these Millennium Children, when the minute he walked in the door, the kid looked at her and he goes, "Uh-oh, I met my match," because he knew that she knew that he knew they could read each other's minds. And so she began working with this little boy, and he was able to do all sorts of phenomena, like he actually physically appeared in her daughter's shower. He manifested. He was able to teleport himself. He just did all sorts of things. And one day he said to they were eating breakfast one day, and he said, "I would like to invite the therapist over for dinner." And the father said, "Why is that?" And he said, "Because I'd like some intelligent conversation at the dinner table." He's 3 years old now. So one day, he says to the mother, he said, "Hey, Mom, remember that day that you and Dad were on vacation, and you saw that UFO?" And the mother goes, "What?" He could have never heard this story. The parents, when they were before he was born, they were in a cabin in the woods, and they saw this huge light came down out of the sky and landed near their cabin. They looked at this, and they never discussed it because it just totally freaked them out. He said, "That was me coming to check you out to see if I wanted to come to you."
So where do these children come from?
That's just an outrageous story. All different places. They have all different kinds of stories about where they come from. Sometimes there's ET stuff around it. Sometimes they're just super smart. I think that what this is the next evolution of human consciousness. I think this is what our species is going to. And these children are just here first. They're here. These are the front runners. What I realized in doing this research is these kids have always been coming in. They've always been here. Our original research was the youngest one was 17 and the oldest one was 72. And it was all ages. But in 1987, something happened. Something changed. And I've interviewed teachers, counselors, principals of schools, all sorts of people who work with a lot of children. And they tell me that 1987 was the year that something changed. And
all right, let's go to our phones. We have Lisa joining us now. Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
And what is your question for Caryl, dear?
Well, actually, I had a psychic question.
No psychic questions, honey.
Oh, all right. Well, if I asked her about someone, would she be able to tell me if that person's an ET, or is that not okay?
No, I don't do that over the phone. Like this, in this kind of environment we have. If I do that in my private readings, I can work with you in those kind of questions.
Oh, okay.
All right, thanks for calling, dear.
All right, thanks.
Bye-bye now. 1-877-528-8255, toll-free. No psychic questions tonight, gang. We're talking about vanishing twins, indigo children. We're talking about color readings. No psychic questions. Now, getting back to the indigo children, where do they come from?
I don't know. I think it's just the next step of evolution of human consciousness. I think it's just what we're moving to. I think it's just an evolutionary process.
But this little guy said that he came down in a UFO to check his parents out.
Yeah. That's the only I've had other ones who have had ET kind of connections, but that's the only one that's ever said anything quite like that. I think that there's some ET interaction. I absolutely do. And I think that they're diddling with our DNA. I do. I've just talked to so many people and heard so many stories in my years on the circuit. I went to so many UFO conferences when I talk to people who have had, lifelong experiences, very often it comes back to those same symptoms I just talked about. It's so important that for these little kids that the parents acknowledge their reality. That they if a parent looks at the child with their eyes bugged out of their head when they've just told them that something psychic, or that told them who's on the phone, and they look shocked and horrified, that's going to impact that child's response for the rest of their life. And so it's so important that parents acknowledge that their children and say, okay, just acknowledge the imaginary friend or whatever it is the kid is doing.
Caryl, stand by. You and I have to take our final break for tonight. Caryl Dennis is our special guest. www.rainbowsunlimited.com. That's www.rainbowsunlimited.com. When I come back from this commercial break, we'll take a look at who is on with us tonight, and I'll tell you who's going to be on with us tomorrow night as the X Zone continues live and around the world on the Talkstar Radio Network from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
Voice that suddenly cut your income in half, but not your bills. It might have been an injury, an illness, or your boss just cutting back your hours. It doesn't really matter how you got in over your head. It only matters that you are, and that we're here to help. If you've got over $10,000 in credit card debt and you can't ever see breaking free, then call J. Warren Financial and do it now. Being in over your head is a vicious cycle. One day late, they charge you a late fee. Miss a payment, they double your rate. You just don't think it's fair, and neither do we. This is not bankruptcy or just a simple rate reduction plan. We fight for you using our proven experience and the insider programs the credit card companies try to hide.
If you have at least $10,000 in credit card debt, you owe it to yourself to call Jay Warren at 800-518-8624. Just because you're in over your head doesn't mean you need to stay there forever. Call 800-518-8624 today, and we can be on your side tomorrow. That's 800-518-8624.
If you have ever thought of owning your very own home-based or session-proof business that would require a low investment and financing that would give you residual cash flow and growth, what you are about to hear is the key to your financial success. A Tradia franchise is available for U.S. and Canadian markets today. Tradia is building the largest, most effective barter exchange system available in the world. Tradia provides a turnkey business opportunity that includes a complete and comprehensive training system, proven marketing materials, software, and database. Tradia is looking for a natural networking personality. You have to like talking with people at events and meeting new people on a daily basis. If you creatively think out of the box, have networking skills, the ability to follow instructions, have basic sales skills, and have a passion to build your very own business, join the Tradia family and build a Tradia franchise today. For more information on how you can become a Tradia franchisee, visit their website today at www.tradia.net.
Welcome back, everyone. I'd like to take this opportunity of thanking all our guests tonight. Reverend Bob Larson and I talked about exorcisms, demonology, cults, and the occult. Glenn Sachs joined us in hour number 2. Hour number 3, we did an open mic, and our guest for these final segments tonight, Caryl Dennis, and her website is www.rainbowsunlimited.com. On tomorrow night's show, I have Lieutenant Colonel Kevin Sweeney joining me. He's with the United States Air Force. Dr. Shelley Carr will be with us. Dr. William Schneed and I will continue on our second live ride-around with a police force in California. And Cal Klorf will be joining us from the Czech Republic as we do another edition of Cal's Corner. Next week, we have Jean Marcoux, Deborah Lipp, Tracy Twin, John Goldhammer, Craig Hogan, Jonathan Gray, David Koenig, Rosemary Geiler, Frank Warren, Lawrence Doyle, Brad Steiger, John Holland, Travis Verger, Larry Dugan, and that's just some of the guests that we have next week here on the X-Zone on the Talkstar Radio Network. First of all, Caryl, thanks very much for joining us tonight. It's been a great pleasure having you, and I've got a couple of questions from our listeners for you.
Okay.
Let me see. One question is, can a twin who has passed on communicate insight to the living twin?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. All you have to do is ask and listen for the answers.
Alrighty, and another question is it possible that children that have had an imaginary friend could be, in fact, a twin that has passed away?
Absolutely. I think probably more times than not. Absolutely. You know, a famous single twin was Elvis.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, and he talked about communicating with his twin during his life. Yeah, he always talked about how he influenced his music and he talked to his twin and about his twin a lot.
Truly interesting topic. So tell me, what are you up to next? Are you still traveling around the United States in your motorhome?
No, gave us a motorhome a year or so ago, and sticking around the Safety Harbor area right now. And but I do go out and do some conventions and speaking engagements here and there.
Well, Caryl, it's been a great pleasure talking to you. I hope that we have the opportunity of speaking to you again in the future. But until we do, take care of yourself, and thanks very much for joining us tonight here in the X-Zone.
Well, thank you for the opportunity.
Good night, Caryl.
Good night.
Caryl Dennis, www.rainbowsunlimited.com. Well, that's it for tonight, everyone. Another fast 4 hours. To my producer at Master Control in Titusville, Florida, the home of the Talkstar Radio Network Master Control and Satellite Uplink Center, right across Indian River from the Cape. Mel, thanks for keeping us up on those 4 big satellites in the sky, Galaxy 4R, Telstar 7, Aglia 2, and G3, and of course on TalkstarRadio.com streaming audio. To my wife and senior producer, Laura Rogers, thank you, sweetheart. To my daughter, Stephanie McConnell, thanks, Steph. Great job in bookings. And to Rob in Scarborough for keeping everybody in line, so to speak, at XZoneTV.com in the chat room. Thanks, Rob. And thank you, X-Zone Nation, for allowing us to be part of your day, your night, no matter where you are on this great big world of ours. And to our affiliates, engineers, producers, and people who work master controls. Thanks, guys. It's great being part of your affiliate network, and we love having you here on the X-Zone. So until tomorrow night, my good friends, when once again we meet here in the X-Zone, take care of each other, and always keep your eyes to the sky and your heart to the light. Good night now.
Take me